Welcome to this. I don't know how many we've had, but many episodes of Meet New Elyites. And again, I'm having a hard time keeping up. And so we have a packed hour here with lots of interesting people. About half of them, by the way, have kind of some part of a medical career background. Anyway, let's call up Shane Stevens to start out. You're welcome, sir.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? As Alton said, my name is Shane Stevens. Shane Stevens, there. I would like to introduce myself as the new kid in town as of September 1st. My Ely journey began back in 1977 with my family at Bear Island, and I won a fishing contest with a 4-pound northern. I received a plaque from, I don't know where that is now, but it was WELY fishing headquarters. Oh, okay. So then in 1978, we decided to do something different as a family. And my father and my brother and my mother, we went to Teepee Tonka Resort in Black Duck Lake. And at that time, Dad and I had got our photo in the Minnesota Sportsman magazine for a stringer of walleyes. And from there, it just kept going. 1980, we went to Don Blond's Moose Lake Lodge, and we fished most of our time at Basswood. 81, we had canoe country at Moose Lake, and I was introduced to Bob Olson, and I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay for the summer, and at the time we were living in southern Wisconsin, and my father was like, "Oh no, that's too far away." Like, come on. Since then, we've taken a yearly trip typically in the month of June after school was let out. We'd come up with my family for a week, and then we'd often take a second week and go to Canada or go somewhere else fishing. When I obtained my driver's license at age 16, a friend and I decided to talk my mother into letting me take her car, and Dad to let me take his boat. And we came up to Ely camping for a week. That was quite the adventure. And then 1986 to 1990, I had a hiatus from visiting Ely just because of adulting. Wasn't able to make the trip and had other things that I needed to take care of. 1992, I introduced my wife to Ely. She had participated in some outdoor activity. However, she had never been up to Ely. So I thought this was a pretty good opportunity to really test her to see if she's really the one for me. We first went to Knife Lake from Moose, and the first morning she had asked me, "Hey, I'm going to wash my hair. Can you rinse me off?" "Oh, absolutely." Keep in mind, this was, probably late September. So I gathered a bucket and proceeded to dump it over her head. She stayed with me. She had the opportunity to see bear, moose, other of the local native animals and plants and everything else. Since then, we've had annual trips 2 to 3 times a year. And we try to take one of our short fall trips over the MEA week, as she is a school teacher. 1993, we had gotten married, and I brought my wife up here for our honeymoon. We stayed at Northern Lights Lodge on Bear Island in December. Everywhere we went in town, it was very welcoming, and everyone had a honeymooner special. We went on a plane ride. We went on a snowmobile rental. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner specials. We experienced very cold temperatures. As a new couple, this was really the test. The battery went bad in the Bronco, froze the oil and blew the filter off in the driveway. And Tracy learned about proper clothing for Ely. Okay. She started hunting and fishing. Then we had our first child in 1996, and he was introduced to the Ely-area. We stayed at the Timberwolf Lodge on Bear Island. He was 2 years old. He was probably 4 years old his first trip that we took him out to Moose Lake to Knife Lake trip. Lost a fishing pole, and as entertainment, we brought along some Matchbox cars. Well, he thought the best thing of the whole trip was just to dump them over the edge and watch them flutter. So beyond the first day going in, it was kind of tough to keep them entertained. How we got here? Well, Tracy and I, my wife, have 2 boys. She spent 30 plus years in education as bilingual ed and Spanish. My background is I've got 20 plus years at Hennepin EMS as a paramedic. I was at Ridgeview for 4 years before that. And prior to that, I worked at Queen of Peace Hospital, St. Peter Ambulance, and I volunteered at the city of Belle Plaine and the city of La Center. Needless to say, you can't possibly just have one job, you know. Every year, Tracy would continue to apply for a Spanish position or something up at the school with the thought that we're going to relocate. And that never really planned out. I retired, and here we are. Tracy has about 18 months left to work full-time. She had said yesterday, I don't think I'm going to be able to quit completely. So that's fine. She is now a para up at the school. I think that's about it. We are over on West 88. And like I said, we moved in here in September 1st, and it's been open arms with everybody. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Annette and Brad Klein, who I also met, as well as Shane and Tracy, at the new resident social that happens a couple times a year. Come on.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Brad.
And I'm Annette. Thanks for inviting us here today. We live out on Cedar Lake, north of Ely, out on the Cloquet line. We have been here since June of 2022. We're from southern Minnesota, near Mankato. You can pipe up anytime you want to.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
All right. I am a family practice physician and Brad is fortunately a home builder. We have 2 grown daughters and 3 grandchildren, 1 daughter in southern Minnesota and 1 in South Carolina. We also have a mini Labrador, Labradoodle named Kona. He's 8 years old. So why Ely? In May of 2021, we worked at my brother's cabin on Mitawan Lake near Isabella. We've been coming up to this area for over 35 years to spend time at the cabin. This year we came up, I for 2 weeks, Brad for 3, and the plan was to build 2 flights of stairs down to the lake. We were working for a week or so when the black flies sent us to Ely. So we came to Ely for head nets and the drive was beautiful. We saw a moose and 2 calves on the way. The people were friendly and very welcoming. It was a beautiful trip. We returned to the cabin, proceeded to build the 2 flights of stairs. The head nets worked out well. We learned to live with the bugs. They didn't really even bother us that much. It's like we adapted, which was very strange. The pine smell, the beauty of the forest and the lake captivated us. Our second trip to Ely was for a few more supplies to complete the project. And on our way out of town, Brad wanted to stop for bait. So we pulled off and parked and I looked over to the right and there was a realtor's office. And I said, should I run in there and grab a book? And I said, why don't we live here? Why do we live in southern Minnesota? And he said, yes, grab a book. So we met a wonderful realtor and within a short period of time, he took us around to different properties. We even saw a bear. It was like it was set up perfectly for us. I have a rule that I swim in any property I'm going to buy because I bought property once and after I signed on the line and went back to the property to step into the lake, I sunk into the muck. So it's like, I'm not doing that again. So I swam at the property. This was May. It was beautiful weather. And we fell in love with the land that we purchased. Within a month, we had sold our cabin over by Hackensack and had purchased the land here. And our initial plan was to camp on the land up here, to take vacations up here. But we loved it so much, we decided to move here. So by fall of 2022, we had sold our home near Mankato and we moved into a rental unit. We purchased a school bus and Brad spent the winter and spring renovating that. And in June of 2022, I retired and we moved to Ely and lived in the school bus while we built a log home. We had wonderful workers that helped us out to put up the shell, electrical, plumbing, some of the finishing. We did most of the inside. By November, we were able to move into the basement. So we continued to work on this home through the winter, and by this past spring, we were able to move upstairs. So that was great. Currently, Brad is building a garage, so we have the home done well enough to live in, but a garage is needed in Ely, Minnesota. It was very cold last year. And it was nice to have, it will be nice to have the vehicles protected some. I've returned to work in healthcare. Mostly I work remotely. And I found that I like medicine better than hard labor, building a home. We're getting to know our neighbors and the people in the community. We recently signed up for dance lessons. We've met some great people. What we love most about Ely is the outdoor adventures that it has to offer. We love seeing vehicles with canoes on them. Almost every vehicle has a canoe. We love to hike. In fact, I'm going to hike once a month. I'd like to go out to the Bass Lake Park and hike along the trail. It's gorgeous out there. So I'm going to do that second Thursday, I believe, unless that day is too full. But I'd love if anybody would want to join me. Brad loves to fish. We love to kayak. We have dirt bikes. We like to cruise around on those, like run up and down the croquet line, pick berries. We have motorcycles. Brad drives a Harley. I have a Can-Am. This past June, we discovered June berries. And Brad has a lemon poppy seed Juneberry muffin. It's delicious. He also made maple syrup, which he's done for years, but he did birch syrup this year as well. One of our favorite sports is snowmobiling. The trails last year were beautiful. We had a blast. We met some wonderful people. We love the carvings along the Taconite Trail. We also enjoy cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. So pretty much any time of the year, we can be out playing. We're always excited to have helpers or visitors, family, friends from southern Minnesota. And we miss them. However, every day when we wake up, we're grateful for the opportunity to live amongst the trees.
Good, I'm good.
He's good.
He's
All
good.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Sue Wiley. Up here. Oh, Willie. Of course, you told me that. I just met her last week back there at the food thing.
All right, well, I'm an even newer kid on the block. I just moved here in October. Signed my lease on October 1st. I got a little rental over on White Street that I was so lucky to get, and it just kind of fell in my lap. I know how competitive the housing market is here in Ely. And as I looked, it just kept on coming and kept on coming back onto my computer screen. And I thought, well, I guess this is it. So I've only been here since October. Actually, mid-October is when I first moved in. I was born and raised in Roseville, so the Twin Cities. And the last 13 years after meeting my husband, I moved to Western Wisconsin. But don't let that city thing fool you. I was raised paddling a canoe, taking saunas, and eating pasties my entire life. I've got a place on Vermilion that my dad built back in the 50s. So my entire life I've been in this area. So when people ask me, are you new to Ely? It's kind of a hard answer because yes, I'm new to the town. Yes, I'm new living here. But I know the area like the back of my hand. So been coming here my whole life. Like I said, my dad built the cabin back in 1958. I've considered it my second home for all my 57 years. Let's see, 57 years, lucky enough to know the beauty and magic of the Iron Range in the North Woods. So I love it here. It feels like home to me when I drive up 35W and I get past that, even past Virginia, my whole body just relaxes and everything changes. So as a teenager, I was a Widgie kid. So starting in the 70s, I went to Widgie 4 times. I was lucky enough to have a youth pastor that was a Widgie counselor for many years. So even though it wasn't Widgie, he led us into the Boundary Waters. So I've been to the Boundary Waters more times than I can count. I don't know. And even from Vermilion, you can portage into the Boundary Waters as well. And that's one of my favorite hiking and foraging trails. So love the water, love the woods, love the boreal forest. It's where I feel most at home. So we always came to Ely from Vermilion, just as a family. We loved Ely. It was something to do, somewhere to go. We came for Blueberry Fest. We came for 4th of July. We had friends that were on, no, I'm losing my train of thought. No, why can't I think of it? Between here and Vermilion. No, the lakes. No. Eagle's Nest. Thank you. One of my dad's best friends, they were on Eagle's Nest. So we'd hook up with them and then we'd always come to Ely. And that's really when we spent the 4th of July. We'd always bring company. If company was visiting us at the cabin, we'd bring them to Ely. We'd go shopping, we'd go eating. So Ely's always been a part of my life. I got divorced. The divorce was final last October. So for the last 3 summers, as I was kind of going through the divorce, I lived on Vermilion full time for the summers. And then the last 2 winters, I've been kind of floating around a little bit, wrapping up loose ends from a divorce. So I did go back to that Western Wisconsin area and just rented from friends for the last 2 winters. But this winter, now it's like, oh, where do I want to go? What do I want to be when I grow up? So I kind of had to make that decision. And there was a lot of different choices that I had to make, but I just thought, you know what, I'm going to spend my summers on Vermilion. That's where I want to be. I want to be in this area. There's no better place than Ely. So always having loved it. I'm no longer a city mouse. That was not even a choice for me to go back to the cities. Going back to Western Wisconsin, too many bad memories there. So I just thought, why not sink in more locally? Knowing the Northwoods is a good thing for my heart, for my soul. It just feels right here. Ely has everything that I want. It has direct access to all the lakes, the woods, the hiking, the kayaking, the canoeing, the snowshoeing, the skiing, all the public land. I'm an avid forager. I'm an herbalist. So I love the woods and gathering and wild harvesting, berry picking, etc. The people in town have never, ever, ever disappointed me my entire life. They're friendly, they're interesting, they're engaged in life. It's a slow pace here. People are independent, they're creative thinkers. These are my people. So.
Are you retired?
Not yet. I wish I were. So I'll get to that. So far I've had no negative experiences. All my neighbors, I live in an alley, which is kind of unusual for me. I don't really have a yard, but my yard is the alley. So all of my neighbors have made a point of stepping out and introducing themselves to me, asking me who I am. Super dog friendly. I have dogs, I have cats, so I love that. I can walk, I can bike wherever I want to go, which I love. I've spent no money on gas. I think I'm still on the same gas fill that I did when I came here. I've been welcomed by the folk school. I do plan to teach some classes there. Going into what I do. So by trade, I'm a massage therapist. I've been doing that for 29 years. I've run a massage clinic, a massage acupuncture clinic. I've taught hands-on massage, administrative classes in massage for 7 years at the Minneapolis School of Massage and Bodywork. I've worked alongside chiropractors, and I've had a private practice the entire time. I've always been self-employed with that. In 2019, I completed a 16-hour Master of Herbalism program with Green Wisdom School of Botanical Medicine. During that, because of my love of foraging, especially mushrooms, I did a thesis on functional mushrooms. And so that is my greatest passion when it comes to herbs. And that's what I'll probably be teaching at the folk school. Some stuff on mushrooms, some stuff on herbal stuff. So watch for an elderberry syrup class. That's hopefully going to be the first one. So I make some products. I make dog treats. Like I said, I make the elderberry syrup. I make tinctures. So that's what I do by trade. Like I said, I'm going to hopefully get into the folk school. I have talked to them over there. They've welcomed my class ideas. As far as massage goes, I'd like to do that here. It takes a long time to build a client base. So I'm still, I see a hand, yay. I don't want to step on anybody's toes here in town, but I think there's always a therapist for every person. So I don't like to compete that way. So any ideas or suggestions on that, I welcome. I also teach water exercise. I've worked at the YMCA for about 13 years teaching water exercise. And I've talked to them here at Grand Ely Lodge. They open up the pool, if you didn't know, from 9 to 9, Monday through Thursday. And starting in January, I will be teaching a weekly class, water exercise class here at the lodge. Don't know the time, don't know any details about that. We're still kind of ironing that out with the other gal who has also done that. So people like you is what makes moving to Ely easy. Groups like this, and I look forward to more. So thank you.
Thank you. Sue Willie. And now I'm honored to introduce you to Troy West and Kristen Comstock. They sent me the greatest picture of the two of them with their handsome dog.
That was right after we bought.
That's right.
Hi, everybody. When Elton initially extended an invitation, I pictured maybe a half a dozen people here.
Mhm.
Wow, what a turnout.
Yeah, this is going to be, I'm Kristen, obviously. And this is going to be a little more on the extemporaneous side. It's because we didn't really plan anything. So
Here we go.
So here we go. Let her rip. Okay.
Okay, so Kristen's folks had a place on Vermilion for the last 20 years, but as time went on, we could tell that it was going to get to be a little bit too much for them. So we kind of just started looking, especially for me, I'm really into kind of real estate, finding the just right place. And it was, as time was getting closer to maybe find a cabin, it was getting to be just kind of overwhelming because we were searching through northern Wisconsin and then Minnesota. And so I actually asked Kristen, I'm like, what are your most important things that you would really love to have as a place where we're going to go? And her number one thing was, well, if it's the weather's not nice, I'd like to have a place to bring my girlfriends.
Take my friends.
Yeah, just as far as for something fun to do.
Yeah.
And I go, oh, God, that's great. There's only two places that come to mind, Ely or Hayward, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And then a place ended up coming up for sale on the south end of White Iron Lake. And it was the only cabin we looked at. It just felt right off the bat.
Yeah.
And as far as for Ely, just there's so many things that we have really loved being a part of, fishing, the boating, as far as for, just at work after coming home, a pontoon ride.
Mm-hmm.
The hiking is amazing, dog friendly. And
That's our dog sitter over there, Betsy. Yeah. And cat sitter. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I had that was another interesting thing. When you get to be in your mid 50s, you kind of think you're just on this coast pattern in life. And when we originally bought the cabin, it was just going to be an every other weekend place because I'd worked at Walgreens for 30 years. And when you're in healthcare, you just get every other weekend off. And so that was great. We were happy to come up here, and the drive was pretty easy with podcasts and whatnot. But I was on the couch and I had the Ely Echo in my hand, and I saw that Essentia was going to open a pharmacy inside the grocery store. And then the wheels started turning a little bit.
What are the chances?
What are the chances?
Yeah. Sign yourself up.
Yeah, so it worked out great. I ended up, leaving the cities, leaving Walgreens, and then just working. I'm a part-time pharmacist at the Essentia inside the grocery store, and then just that enabled us to move up here full time, and absolutely love it. No regrets at all. Just as far as for the theater. Ian has just done some incredible things here that are amazing to be a part of. I mean, when we went to Dancing with the Stars, on the way home, we were high.
Yeah. It was fun.
The energy was so good. And then you've got Ian there's kind of a little an attitude or a culture in Ely, and I describe it as figure it out. So like that day with the Dancing with the Stars, the sound system wasn't working right. So in addition to being a dance partner for two people, Ian was also trying to troubleshoot the sound. And then Lacey was
Somebody in this room was like, hey, everybody, jazz hands, look over here, look over here.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was fun. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah, I would say we're probably the most senior of the people who've been standing up here because we've been here a whole 3 years.
Yeah.
So, but we've just loved it. Like it's been like kind of that honeymoon feeling still. And it's just great. And we've been trying to do all the things. And so Bass Lake, like the hiking that was mentioned, and I've also supported Progress a lot. You're welcome. And it's just we're just loving all of it. So happy to be here. Yeah, I'm at Medtronic. If you know that company, they do medical devices in the Twin Cities. They're based, and so I work remotely pretty much entirely.
What does that mean you do?
I do a combination of marketing and sales and we have a therapy for, we have a therapy for a lot of things, but mine is for incontinence. So if anybody else you want to talk about it later, you can. Okay. All right. Is our work done? Elton, anything else that you want to know? I mean, anybody, I'll send a sign up sheet around if you want to, if you have problems or if you know somebody, that's fine. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
There was Corey West and Kristen Comstock and Steve Faragas put me onto them. Thanks, yeah. He gets his shots there. Sharon Gilbert, come on up. Oh, I know, there's another hiker.
I never need a microphone. but
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, I need a microphone. I'm Sharon Gilbert. I moved here mid-August, retired. Came up from the western suburbs of Chicago. And everyone says, why Ely? And I said, because I've been to the Boundary Waters like 14 or 15 times and said, this would be a great place to live. Technically, I live in Babbitt, so I'm a Babbinite, not an Elyite, but Elton said that counted. I could still come in. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So since I have moved here, I've gotten involved. He said, it's okay if I mention these things with North County Trail Association. We are going to build the Kikakabik from Ely to Tower. And then I've also desperately been looking for people to hike with. So I will join you at Bass Lake. So I just did that a couple of weeks. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, the dog loved it too. So I have a meetup group called Hikers of Northeast Minnesota. So if you are interested in hiking, please go on there, sign up for a hike and come meet other hikers. What else? I did. I was a psychotherapist and adjunct college professor. So I know I still want to work in some role advocating for mental health, but not direct therapeutic anymore. COVID really did a number on many people in my profession. I'm all done with that. So yeah, so come on a hike and help us build a trail and yeah. Anything else?
Well,
That's it.
Lisa and Pat Norman, come on up. They're on Shagwell over there somewhere, and they've got a new roof, a new garage, a new septic. They're financing really. Lisa with 2 eyes
Yes.
and Pat
Lander.
Norman.
And bank people know us well. We can tell you that much. Again, Pat and Lisa Norman, we are just a little background. I'm from the cities, grew up there most of my life. Lisa's from Racine, Wisconsin. We met in 1987 in the cities. Our story is kind of a little different how we ended up here and such. We actually bought our place in 2019. So we've been, working on that ever since, but just a little history. Before today, I've been in the Ely Echo before.
You said the police were.
And I'm sure you all read it. I'm sure you all read the August 5th thing. And I'm not in the police blotter. So that's a good thing. What's the police blotter, by the way?
I miss it.
Yeah, I do too.
But in the second section of page 8, I have a picture of myself with a 12-pound norther that I caught this summer. That's why that's there. Now to the nuts and bolts of why we're here. Mentioned Lisa's a Finn. She's with the 2 eyes, and her father, his name is Art Scantz, and Art grew up in Ely, and he was born in 32. So he lived here for 20 years, and it's a remarkable story. he wrote a book, A Kid from Ely. It's a memoir about his life, and spent 20 years in Ely, then moved to cities, went to university, and eventually, make a long story short, had a wonderful and great career in the business world, all over from his last position. Oh. Right.
And Paragus.
And Paragus. And if you can get it, get it to me somehow too, that'd be great. Anyways, can't do that, but anyways, so Art ended up as a, as a vice president at Quaker Oats down in Chicago, traveled the world all over the place. He was in product development and engineering, and so he's been all over the world, and just a smart, intelligent, wonderful man. And so I was lucky that I met Lisa and got to know Art. So anyways, he brought his heritage back to to Ely, and so back in the 80s, late 80s, we started coming up here, with Lisa's family. There's 6 siblings, and so we'd come up here, probably every other year or so, and we'd stay at this retreat cabin down at Silver Rapids Lodge. And I don't know if many of you know it. It's a big cabin way down at the end of the road, at the end of the resort holds. Basically it's an 8-bedroom Rambler walkout, and you have your own deck or your own dock down there. It's very perfect place to have
A huge family together.
20 people gathering with all the little kids. And so we spent years, 20, 30 years coming and going from that up to visit, and that's how we, that was our introduction to Ely. And eventually in 2019, it was our last gathering with everybody. We chose to look around and look for a place, and we were looking for a year-round place, and eventually we came across this wonderful little cabin. It was seasonal, but since then we've been working and spending money to make it so we could be up here year-round. And well, another long story short, we did the things that we needed to do, and we moved here for good back in April. We retired last year in April and moved up here. So we've been here now since April of 2022. I mean, we love it here for all the reasons that everybody's already explained. I mean, it's, you know the drill, and that's why we're here.
We like to hear it over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so that so that's why we're here, and we enjoy just everything. And I mean, spending my life basically in the Twin Cities, and actually we did move to North Carolina for a couple of years, and outside of Philadelphia, and just to get rid of all of that and the road rage. And I mean, it's just a whole different life, as you all know. So
Professions?
Retired.
You're not gonna tell us?
I already mentioned that. Oh, what we did?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh, here.
So I was a nurse for 41 years. I was a nurse. The last part of my career, I was a nurse anesthetist. That's it for me.
And I basically was in sales in the paper printing and fastener business for years. Last 25 years, basically selling fasteners to OEMs. And so it worked out great. And like, again, we retired a couple of years ago, and here we are. As we mentioned, you should really, it's at the library too. So you don't have to pay for it. You go to the library and check it out. It's a great story. Like I said, a kid from Ely.
Forgot to mention Mom. Oh, just that my parents met here.
Oh,
So
that's
my
right.
mom
Okay.
absolutely loved Ely and was thrilled that we moved here. Sadly, they never both got up here, but anyways, it feels like home.
Sweet.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being with you.
We had one cancellation late yesterday. One person who wanted to do it, had surgery. But what always happens is we have a few minutes left, and then there's other new people who just show up on this day. So I'm gonna call up Elsie Jorgensen. All I know is pretty new here, but under this Todd, they both work online. They're at One White Iron. There's even more to go.
Clearly, I did not plan anything, so.
So yeah, mine is going to be really short and sweet. We've been coming up to Ely for well over 30 years. Fell in love with the place. The first time we came up, we camped at Bearhead Lake State Park and knew that this was where we wanted to be. So it's been in the plans for a long time. The goal was once we retired, but with COVID, we both have been working at home. So we decided, why not? We can do that from anywhere. So we are out on White Iron. We officially moved here July 11th. So, and love it. Can't say anything
Hobbies?
more than that. Well, I mean, we like to fish, we like to kayak, we like to canoe, hike, all those things. And this is the place to do that, right? And our dog loves it as much as we do. So, all right.
Elsie Jorgensen. My grandmother was Elsie. Oh, and then we have Oliver Swenson. So here's the, yeah, Claudia. Yeah, this is Claudia's son Oliver. Claudia's name is McBride. And I've seen you around. Yeah.
Well, I moved up here 4 days ago, so I think I have everyone beat. My mother's been here for 6 years.
Well,
now.
I bought a place here 6 years ago with the idea like step by step, you know, so, and then I worked at Bearhead for the DNR last summer. And then I'm a AmeriCorps worker and I'm a tree inspector. So I'm a certified tree inspector. So if anyone needs any help, I can inspect your tree, I can assess it, I can give you pruning advice, I can give you, tree planting advice, climate issue. Oh, okay. Climate issues too, because I'm heavily trained with any issues with trees. Luckily up here, we haven't gotten hit bad, but that ash borer, the emerald ash borer, it's gonna happen. It just is. It's really bad in Duluth, and I haven't seen it up here yet, but it's gonna happen, unfortunately. So, and I also volunteer at the Listening Point Foundation. I'm in training to become a tour guide. My background has been, my mentor has been Sig Olson for forever. I came up here with a class at UMD. Mike Link taught a class on wilderness ethics, and we came up and we met with Sig's wife, Elizabeth, and asked her lots of questions, and it was a wonderful opportunity. It was just, it's a really great experience. I owe everything to my parents because my dad worked for Oliver Mining Company. He started out as a timekeeper in the mines and came from a very poor background in south side of Chicago, went to Grand Ely College, and then had a decision to work either for Standard Oil or for Oliver Mining, and he chose Oliver Mining. And at that time, he worked his way up from being a timekeeper to manager of Mintech, Minnesota Ore Operations, which was quite a big success story for him. And then my mother, I owe everything to her because, well, she was born in Luck, Wisconsin. There's a sign in Luck if you go, and it says, "Now you're in luck." So, but anyway, it was all up to her. It was her that got me interested in the outdoors, because anytime we would go hiking, she'd say, "I wonder what's around the bend," and then she'd keep saying that. And my dad would get mad. But she bought a cabin in the 60s on the Gunflint Trail, and the only way you could get there was by boat. And then it was on West Bearskin Lake, and there was Minogen, which at the time Minogen was a boys' camp. And I got chosen for the first time in 1972 as a woman or girl to join the expedition 600-mile canoe trip from Allan Water, Ontario, up through and back down to Nipigon. And so we had six women. We didn't have any portages. We simply used our compasses and thrashed our way through and lowered canoes down cliffs and but it was a wonderful experience. The thing is I've always been real curious about Ely. And I have to say, since I've finally moved here, August, I'm wintering out on past Winton, but I have a rather remote cabin near Eagle's Nest. It has 25 acres, so I don't have electricity. Well, no, I have electricity. I don't have running water. But since I've been here, it's like 7 people have welcomed me to Ely. It's like the first time it happened, I had to turn around like, are you talking to me? Because I'm not used to that. It's just like, wow, you're talking to me. You're welcoming to Ely. Thank you so much. And everybody's been super, super friendly. And I thank everyone for just wanting to talk and meet me. And you'll see me around town. I'll be trimming and pruning trees. I also have a degree. I have a master's degree in advocacy. I am a big advocate. I advocated for the American Lung Association. I advocated for the Domestic Abuse Intervention Project. I'll advocate for anything. So right now it's about trees. So if anybody wants to ask me questions or need any assistance, I'll be glad to help you out with the trees. So. Go ahead, Valerie.
I don't know if I can top that. That's pretty good. This winter I'm going to be working at the Camp Ukpik, Northern Tier, doing winter guiding. That's some fun with that. And then I hope to get into trapping and hiking and adventuring. She's my #1 inspiration for adventures. So glad to be here. Thank you so much.
We took a motorcycle trip out west, and it was on the back of a V-Rod, which is not comfortable. And we call him Iron Butt.
No one said that other than
Somebody traveling out west from this area was going to sit on the back of a motorcycle, and then suddenly somebody asked when we stopped, and they looked at us, and they just kind of like, and they came up and they said, "What's your story?"
More adventures up here in Ely. So thank you.
And that's all I got, right, Betsy? See you next week.